Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by Al's #1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Folks, if you've never been there, get your ass over there and try out that Italian beef sandwich. It's nothing like you've ever had before if you have never had one. Check it out at alsbeef.com if you're not in the neighborhood. That's alsbeef.com. You can also go to goldbelly.com and just type in Al's Beef. Folks, best sandwich you'll ever have. Guaranteed. That is Al's #1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Yes! And it's a good sandwich. As a matter of fact, we are joined by Chris Pacelli and another special guest. We're going to have him introduce himself in just a moment. Chris, what do you got in front of you for everybody watching on TV?
Well, we got one of our specialty sandwiches, an Al's Italian Beef. They had little sweet peppers on it, some homemade fries, and then our special giardiniera that we make here. You'll never get this anywhere else but Al's.
Yeah, now you're not going to chew into the microphone, right? You'll be okay. You're just going to showcase that for a minute?
No, you don't hear any crunching because it's so soft and good that it just melts into your mouth.
Oh, you're killing me over here. Now, folks, of course,
if
you're looking
sound like a grasshopper when I'm eating.
If you're looking, what am I wearing? What am I wearing?
Oh, yeah. It looks like an L's hat. Look at this guy.
And look, what else am I wearing?
An L shirt.
That's right. It looks like I worked there, if you know what I mean.
You got the L shoes or underwear.
Yeah, right. You're right. And by the way, we have the birthday boy with us, a very special guest. And folks, you've probably heard him on the radio. You've seen him in concert. And he's going to introduce himself. Go ahead, young man.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Geno Lenardo. How are you? Chicagoland and Worldland.
All right.
What's happening? How you doing, Sal?
I'm doing great. And a lot of folks know you from, of course, when you were playing with Filter, right?
Yes.
The mad amount of big hits that Filter had put out. Plus, you've got a whole nother music gig going on top of it, which we're going to dive into. Of course, I know Chris over there is going to dive into that sandwich in just a little bit. But I have to tell you,
I'm going to hold up.
I wish I had one.
Want more.
I know. I wish I had one too. I just have the gear. Right. I have the gear, and I can't eat the hat or the shirt, I suppose. So anyway, it's the birthday boy, and Geno, what are you doing for your big day? Where are you going?
Just going to go out to a quiet dinner actually with friends. It's not going to be anything crazy. Just I like to lay low on my birthdays.
Okay. Well,
Geno, where are you at in Las Vegas?
No. I'm actually just north of you. I'm in Beloit, Wisconsin.
I know where you're at. Sure.
Yeah. I'm just north of Rockford.
Yeah. I know where you're at.
Okay, so
nice.
Let me ask you this.
Why can't I get a sandwich delivered then?
Yeah, I know, right? When are you going to get the tub of beef delivered to
by
you?
the time it gets there, it won't be any good. Because the guy will eat half of it, and the other guy is going to have the other half.
Unless you send
it give me like the greasy wrapper.
There you go. You get the greasy wrapper.
Ah, jeez. So on
Happy
your
birthday,
let me ask you this. All right, so sometimes people will have those big, when you're at dinner, the whole restaurant will sing you happy birthday or whatnot. And do you tend to want to hide under the table, or do you want to just kind of get up and sing with everybody?
I think I'm gracious to people, but no, I like to keep it quiet. Birthdays, I'm like, I don't need to be reminded.
Okay.
I always think I'm like 28 years old, and I'm not at all. So
I thought you were. I thought you were halfway to 56. What's going on here?
that's what I paid you the $20 to say on the show.
That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I forgot about that. Sorry.
You know what they say in my neighborhood, Sal?
What?
Is the body gets old, but the brain remains at 18.
That's you're right. Hey, your head's cut off. Fix your camera.
There you go.
Scoot back, Chris, scoot back a little bit. Now
I got to get back a little bit.
Yeah, because your giant
wait a
cranium
minute.
wasn't on the TV screen. There you go.
That big melon I got.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I have a pumpkin head. You got a double pumpkin head.
Oh, trying to angle this thing.
You're good.
Okay.
That's perfect right there. So, Geno, I asked you the question because I think of maybe when you're at a sporting event, maybe you're going to a hockey game or a football game, whatever the hell it is, and you hear your music come over the loudspeaker, right, over the PA system. Do you tend to stand up or do you just tend to...
Yeah, I'm like, I just got 10 cents.
Hey, those 10 cents, look, if you had a dime for every time
It used to be where you made money when they used your music, but no, these days it's a little different with streaming and everything else. But no, it's amazing. I mean, over the years, just seeing like the Blackhawks, like, somebody would score a goal and they'd play, "Hey man, nice shot."
Right.
Or, I mean, there's been many sports events that have used that. And it's like, yeah, cool. That's awesome.
A bit of irony, though, that song was not written about a hockey shot.
No, it was definitely not written about a hockey shot.
No, it was something different. So Chris, let's talk
It
about
also
that
wasn't
big beef
written about
sandwich in
Kurt
front of you.
Cobain, if we could put that urban legend to put that one down. This guy, R. Bud Dwyer, he's like a comptroller or something in Pennsylvania. Anyway, the guy did a horrible thing. Shot himself like on TV. It's just ugly. But yeah, it's cool hearing your music. I mean, especially over the whole system, like in the stadium. It's
Right.
like, yeah, all right.
Right.
I'll be in the grocery store sometimes and like take a picture will come on. I'll be like rolling my cart. Yeah.
Right.
Rolling.
Right.
To take a picture.
Well, all right. So look at that big sandwich in front of Chris. Not only does it make you hungry, but that is sort of the golden egg of sandwiches. I mean, that's the king of the mountain when it comes to Italian beef sandwiches. Chris, describe that sandwich to everybody in case they've never had one before. What's the history of this?
The history of the sandwich goes back over 100 years ago. It was created by my grandfather. And how he did this was, you want me, I don't know how much time you got.
Just go. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, my grandfather was a street
Forget about
peddler.
it.
Yeah, forget about it. This isn't the Sopranos. This is Chicago.
That's right.
Maybe forget about it.
I'm kidding you.
Anyway, no, I know. Anyway, what happened is my grandfather was a street peddler, and he used to go around from one construction place to another back in 1917, around that time, with a small little truck, and he used to feed, because in them days, either brown bagged it, because there was no restaurants then for the working class. What was going on then was only the elite went to restaurants. So my grandfather would have some type of juices and cold meat sandwiches, like a salami sandwich or stuff. Well, anyway, he gets invited to this wedding. In them days, they used to call them a peanut wedding because it was in your home. They didn't have elaborate places to go to in them days. They couldn't afford it. So they had this wedding in their home, which 30 to 40 people. So my grandfather goes in there and he sees this piece of roast beef laying on the table, and they're cutting it with a knife and putting it between two pieces of Italian bread and eating it like that. So the bell ring, he's a sandwich guy. So the light bulb goes on. Goes home, trial and error. He cuts this beef so thin that you can actually see through it. And what happens, with the trial and error, he finally gets to the taste where he likes it, and he starts presenting it to people. And they all liked it. So he started telling them, listen, next time you have a party, what you feed 30, 40 people for, what you're feeding 15 people for, at the same price I can do the whole wedding, 30 or 40 of them. So they started hiring him to do that. But he only did it as a part-time. Then, as the sandwich grew in taste and people started noticing it, well, my Uncle L, which is my grandfather's son, he got in trouble. You got to remember the 30s, the Italians and all the gangsters and all that stuff. Well, he got in trouble, ended up in jail, comes out of jail. While he was in jail, you don't meet no doctors and lawyers. You meet other criminals. So when he came out, his friends wanted to open up a bookie place. So he says, I got the perfect thing for a friend. So he opens up the beef stand while they're making calls in the back. So the front was the beef stand. So now it started getting popular. People are coming more and more and more. Well, after about a year or so, my uncle has my father and my mother join in with him, help him out. Because he was always in trouble anyway, needed to get bailed out. So that's when the start really started, was in 1938. And what they do is the tradition is still the same. We make the giardiniera, which giardiniera in Italian means vegetables in the garden. Well, you can put anything you want in giardiniera. But ours is created basically for the Italian beef sandwich. There's other giardinieras with olives in it, cauliflower and stuff. We don't do that because I don't want to take away from the taste of the sandwich. So, if you see this here, it's Italian beef, and you can almost see through it. It's so thin. If I can get it up there, it's a little hard to see, but you can understand what I'm talking about. So
all the vegans are going to love this show, by the way.
Well, you know what?
The vegans eat grass, or the cows eat grass.
Vegans welcome.
Listen, the cows are feeding off of the grassland, so don't worry about it.
That's right. So that's how it started, and then my brother, and then my other brother, and then me, we started helping out, and now we run it all.
Hey, Geno,
so it's been going on for 86 years.
I think that genius was the first breakthrough was you could book your numbers and get an awesome beef sandwich.
Yeah, there you go. You
consolidate your efforts. Consolidate your efforts. You don't have to walk to one place.
It was the first off-track betting.
Yeah, exactly.
You just make me think about that. That's the original off-track betting.
So Geno, you're a cook too. I heard you have a great red sauce. You got a good marinara.
I do have a good marinara. There's a family recipe that is actually a carrot sauce. And the carrot, so you do it with carrot, and some people call them red onions, some people call them the purple onion, which have a different acidity than, say, a white onion, which might be sweeter. But you counteract that acidity with the sweetness of carrots, and then fresh, the best tomatoes you can find, and you kind of put it together. You got to roast all this stuff first, then then you start, you got to blend it into a sauce. So I know using a food processor is not allowed normally. No, that's a no. But I do it, and it's good. It's it's different, and it's just a thing I learned growing up from my oldest brother Mike. Actually, was the first one to teach me about that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that tip came from our longtime friend in common. Steve's been a lifelong friend of mine. Since I was 5 years old. It's our good friend Steve Tuma. Nice round of applause for him.
Oh, Steve Tuma.
Yeah. Steve's.
Is he coming on? We should get him on the show.
I know, right? We should get him on the show. I have to send him a link, but nonetheless, yeah, God, I've known Steve since kindergarten. I can't believe I've actually known somebody for over 50 years. I mean, that in itself, it's kind of ridiculous, but yes, I'm a little bit older, folks. I'm not, 23 or 28 like Geno, because today's his birthday. Or, Chris, last I heard he was 38, something like that, halfway to 76.
Yeah, it was 38 years ago.
I know.
We'll
that's
just
why I said
ballpark it. We'll just ballpark it.
that's all right. All right, so we're going to mix in food. We're going to mix in. So,
Sure.
Geno, how many instruments do you play? You've got a whole studio there. How many do you play?
I'm known for being a guitarist, but I also play bass. I play piano, and I'm an engineer. I do all the producing, and on some albums, I've done all the drum programming. And I kind of like think about it as like whatever needs to get done for the song. Like I'll do anything that really needs to get done for the song. And it's just I just learned it all. When I started back in high school, so I grew up in Park Ridge, out in the northwest suburbs, and I came from a very professional family. My father was a doctor at Resurrection Hospital, my mom an RN. And so music, we had a piano in the house, but it wasn't really considered a vocation just yet. And I was into sports. I was playing football out there, doing the like little midgets, then the widget league, then the juniors, and then, so I wanted to play ball in college and had a pretty good arm. So I went to maybe they wanted to send me, but they sent me to La Lumiere, which is in LaPorte, Indiana, kind of like a Dead Poets Society school. And I did well. I lettered both years, but I had known as a neighbor, another great Italian kid, Doug Spinuzza. So Doug is Sicilian, but he was going to the Chicago Academy for the Arts. And he was an actor. And he said, "Oh, why don't you come to my school?" Because I was just kind of disenfranchised with what was going on over at La Lumiere. So I went and I auditioned and got in. And I went in as an actor, actually. I had to go in and do a monologue. So I did, I think it was from a Sam Shepard play, Suicide in B-flat. I did that, and then you have to sing 2 songs. So I did Roxanne horribly, and then I did Green Acres, just to spice it up. Yeah, hilarious. And so they accepted me, but in the old Chicago Academy for the Arts behind Old St. Pat's Church, there was 4 floors. So the first floor was visual arts, and then like as you went up, you'd go like 3rd floor was dance, 4th floor was theater. But I'm sorry, 3rd floor was actually the music floor. 2nd floor was dance. So every day when I would go up to the theater class, I'd walk by the music guys. And there were some amazing players, like incredible. I mean, so I got the bug and I went for it. And I was like, when it came time for college, I got accepted to DePaul Theater School. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I got accepted to Berklee College of Music in Boston. So I ended up going for 4 years, getting a degree in music production and engineering. But then I came immediately back to Chicago to work for the band Ministry up on the north, 3347 North Halstead was the famous Chicago Tracks recording. And I worked with them, and it was through everybody that used to come through that studio where I met the guys from ChemLab from New York. And then I toured with them for a couple years, and then that's where one of the guys, Brian Wiesgang, who was in Filter and one of the guys who wrote the first record, Short Buzz, he recruited me to do it. And then the next thing you know, Hey Man, Nice Shots taken off on the radio. And, I think they originally asked me because they had done van tours. Like, it wasn't going to be this huge bus tour, but it ended up being that. But they just didn't know, and I was used to being with 6 other dudes in a van with all the equipment running around the country playing shows. And that's where everything took off. It's kind of a summation. It's a quick timeline. There was a lot of other stuff that went on in there, but that's how I ended up in Filter, and then everything changed. I don't know. Then we're going all over the world. We did all the late night shows. We did Letterman, Leno, Conan twice. We did Canal Plus in France, in Paris, and then we ended up doing Top of the Pops before they shut the show down. We played Top of the Pops in England, which was kind of cool.
We're gonna have to get Chris onto the Tonight Show. He's been on TV a million times, all these food shows and stuff, but he hasn't been on the Tonight Show yet.
Greg's show.
Chris, how many TV shows have you been on? Which ones?
Oh, God. Mostly food shows.
Which ones?
You know, like Man versus Food, Bobby Flay. Oh, God, I can't think. Jesus Christ, I'm looking around over here.
Weren't you on that show with Jeff Morrow, too?
Yeah, Jeff Morrow. He's a matter of fact, I grew up with his father.
Yeah, well, Jeff went to my high school, Oak Park River Forest.
You know, the St. Ignatius over here.
Yeah, but I think Jeff went to my high school. His old man went to St. Iggy's right over there. Yeah.
Well, I thought you meant the one right behind us.
No, I know that. Yeah, St. Ignatius is right behind you. I know that, but no, I was just thinking. I know you've been on so many TV shows and whatnot, talking about.
Yeah. Oh God, you know. Bobby Flay. I know we've been on. I'm trying to look around over here.
He's got a Geno. He's got a wall with all kinds of like you have your records. So for everybody listening on the radio,
people from all over the world here.
Right.
Yeah.
For everybody listening on the radio, and you can't see this stream, you can actually go to you could go to Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Of course, nice round of applause for Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook.
Our website, you can see a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, you can actually watch this stream. But at the end of the day, this guy's been on TV so many times, it's ridiculous. Even that show, even though it was about another beef company or something, you told me earlier, I think you were on that Bear show too, weren't you, Chris?
No, Bear show is just a fictitious show.
Is it? Okay.
Actually, they're based in some. It's supposed to be like Mr. Beef's venue, but they just took it over and they did it out of the studio, and it's taken off on Italian beef, but they're arguing and fighting in the place and all that stuff. So there's a lot of action in the beef business.
Yeah, but are they throwing blows? I mean, are you really seeing some shots thrown? That's what I want to know.
It does get pretty hot.
They're very verbal, from what I gather, and so it took off pretty good. They won a lot of awards.
Yeah,
and now people are getting more and more interested in the product because basically Chicago Italian beef is a Chicago product. It's created here, like I told you, my grandfather. And it never really took off outside of Chicago like tacos or a Philly cheesesteak or something because it's cooking. It's not frying or, fast food. It's more like a cooking sandwich that you have to cook to produce it. So, you've got to cook this thing for 3.5 hours. Then you got to cool it down for 24 hours. Then you have the certain slicing machines that will slice it paper thin, and you have to nurture it. You have to take all the fat and nerves off of everything. So when someone bites into this sandwich, they don't taste none of that. And it's not ground beef like this. This is real sliced beef.
Yeah, well, it's not like that Philly cheesesteak sandwich where they're just throwing it on a griddle.
They do a lot of stuff.
Right. It's not like they're frying the sandwich up. Right? Chris?
Pardon me?
The comparison of that fried flat top Philly cheesesteak sandwich to an Italian beef.
Yeah, you know what? Like here, guy asked me at one of the shows one time, what's the difference between Italian beef and a Philly cheesesteak? There's a big difference. I says, first of all, the Philly cheesesteak is you get 2 pieces of thin meat, fry it on a grill with grease, and then you slap it on a piece of bread and add cheese whiz to it, wrap it up and serve it. The Italian beef is we bring it in 15-pound rounds. And we have to cook that for 3.5 hours. Then we take that out. We separate the juice from the beef. And we strain all the seasonings out of it. Then that has to cool overnight. And then the next day, we trim all the fat and all the nerve off of the beef before we put it on the slicer. What we miss is cut so thin that when we put it in this hot gravy, the juice, melts in there and creates a better broth for the sandwich. So when you eat this sandwich, you're eating something that's cooked, not fried. There's a big difference in that. So
and talk about the bread. You got to talk about the bread.
The bread is hearty. It's chewable, but it still has to withstand a lot of juice because a lot of people want us to take the prongs and dip it deep into the juice and pull it out. It's called a dip sandwich.
Yeah.
So, and that's what makes it
that's the good
real
stuff.
Juicy. and it doesn't really fall apart because the bread is hearty. But it's also very edible. It's not like you got to play with it. Keep fighting the bread. Once it's all prepared, and you'll see what I'm talking about if you try it. Like I said, you go to Go Bellies, and they will ship you. We either have an 8 sandwich order or a 16 sandwich order, and it's pretty fast. It comes overnight.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. If you take that sandwich, how long can it stay? Let's just say somebody buys one. They like to eat cold pizza the next day or something. I'm not that guy. I don't do cold pizza. Well, let's just say you get a sandwich delivered, and let's say it just sits in your refrigerator overnight. How do you heat that thing up again? Because it's a big production making the sandwich.
Well, the sandwich,
in the oven, not in the microwave.
Well, yes, but you got to be careful. What we did was just experiment. We made some sandwiches and froze them. Then about a month later, I took it out and let it thaw naturally on your counter. Then you could put it in the microwave for, I would say 30 seconds, no longer, because you got to worry about the bread. Then you let it sit for a couple, minute, and then you can eat it. Nothing's like when you get it made right then and there. There's no such animal that's going to be frozen and come out tasting like fresh meat.
Yeah, especially with the bread, because when you reheat bread,
right,
and when you put bread in the microwave, folks, in case you've never done this, which most of us have, if it's a little soggy,
yes,
it'll get really rough on the edges, almost like you have to chew through a piece of a brick.
Well, that's what I say. You gotta let it thaw by itself. Then you put it in for a certain amount of time, and I prefer 30 seconds. It'll come out. Then you got to let it sit because the bread's going to be a little hot and hard to touch. So if you let it sit for about a minute, it'll be edible then.
Right.
But it's what it is. It's not a frozen pizza. It's it's a sandwich. So
right. Well,
when we ship them, when I say 8 sandwiches, 16, they're not made. Everything's separate. So when you get it, you take the juice and you heat it up. You add the beef to it, stir it in there, and then you add it to the bread as you want it. The bread's fresh every day that we send out. And so is the beef is only within 24 hours, like I say, how we make it. So everything is made here.
The bread's made locally, though, too, right?
Right.
The bread's
made locally.
Yeah, it's from...
I used to have a big company that made it, but they went into frozen breads, and we don't want to do that. So I have a local baker, and he's pretty good with it. It's called Two Figs. And in Italian, that means two sisters. So
was it tomatoes, though, that used to create the bread?
Ganella.
No, their bread is okay. It's
okay.
I like them. They're nice people and everything. So I just happen to like this bread better.
That's hey.
No.
You know best.
All right, guys.
I mean, a lot of places use their bread. Don't get me wrong.
All right.
But
hey, Chris, hold that thought for just a moment here, because we're gonna take just a quick break. Don't go anywhere. And we'll be back here with Geno Lenardo, the birthday boy, the Swiss Army knife of music, and Chris Bones Baselli of Al's Italian Beef. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here.
Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Still seeing half from my head.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. For everybody just joining us here from the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Now, today's show is brought to you by two parties. First is Al's Number One Italian Beef over in Chicago's Little Italy. Check them out at 1079 West Taylor Street. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't get over there, check them out at alsbeef.com. Also at goldbelly.com. Just type in Al's Beef and pick up your gigantic tub of Italian beef. And boy, it is exciting, and it is the best sandwich I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Also, today's show is brought to you by the birthday boy and the music of the great Geno Lenardo. And here's Geno to tell you everything about his music and what he does.
Well, there's many things now. So I do have a new band called Clinical that's coming out in the new year. I've been writing mostly for shows. So there's a pretty big show on Netflix called Bridgerton. And right now I used a violinist from Chicago, Catherine Hughes, and their quartets of modern songs. So, it's a little unusual. The show is a period piece, and, you have people, dressed up in Victorian era, kind of, costume and wardrobe. And, but the songs are, they might be ballroom dancing or something, but they're modern songs. So I just finished Every Breath You Take. We're doing, what else are we doing? We're doing Wonderwall. We're doing Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. And it's just, it's a lot of fun. It's different than just playing in a band. That's for sure. There's deadlines that are really hardcore, and so it's taken up a lot of time. I definitely want to get back out there and play, but that's coming too. So that's what I've been working on recently. There's a couple other shows, The Shy, which Common produces, submitting stuff for that. All American, great football show about the linebacker from the Giants. He actually produces the show. So I've been doing a lot of shows, a lot of movies. Peppermint with Jen Garner, I did that one. A lot of the Underworld movies that I've done in the past with Kate Beckinsale. So it's great because I get to work with a lot of different people. So when you work in a band and you're just the band, like I just saw the guys in Korn came through in Tinley Park, and it's awesome for them because they are Korn, but they also do other side stuff, So yeah, it's like I'm living in two worlds: composer world and producing world, and then going out there and writing my own record and playing that with some good friends.
Okay, so also when it comes to people following you, how can they find you? How do people learn more about what you're doing?
They can go to my Facebook. They can go to, there's a new site going up in the new year that's just going to be genolenardo.com. It's in development, but you can go to my Instagram or my Facebook. It's actually me. So, that's a good place to find it. But speaking of that, I work so much. It's so funny because a lot of people are like, man, you need to get better at social media. I'm like, well, I'm working all day. Like, you're supposed to post at this time and that time and all this, this whole rigmarole, and then constantly providing content, which I'll be doing more of in the new year with the new project. But when I'm working, I'm in the studio. I turn the phone off actually, and I'm just there working. And next thing you know, 8 hours are gone. Haven't eaten, let alone posting. So
Yeah, speaking of food, look at the sandwiches in front of you waiting for you.
I'm working on Bridgerton, like slapping a dip Al's beef in my mouth, you know.
Yeah, well, you're going to have
Geno,
to get
you're not that far away. You can come on down. Like
I'm
they say in
definitely
that
coming.
show.
Oh man, I'm coming. I'm coming, Chris. I will be there.
You're killing me. I'm looking at that sandwich and I'm like, oh man. And I got a bottle of water in front of me.
I know, right? I'm feeling the same way. I'm like, God,
but every time whenever I go there,
you get my number from Sal, and we'll get together. You know, I'm up in Antioch.
I'll hook up with you.
Hey, Geno, I'm up. I don't know if you know the Antioch area, Fox Lake area.
Yeah,
I know
with that. I don't really know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm up there on the weekend.
Okay. All right. No, we'll definitely hook up for sure, and I'll come down. I'll come down to your restaurant.
I hang with a couple of musicians. One guy used to play the organ for what the hell is his name? Sam the Sham. Remember Sam the Sham?
These are guys in the neighborhood. I mean, folks.
And the Pharaohs.
Folks, if you Chris, hold that thought. Hey, folks, if you're just tuning in right now, this is a few guys from Chicago, right? So you're going to hear some neighborhood stuff. You're going to hear about, Vinny Bombats and Joey Bag of Donuts, maybe. I don't know. But you got Bones over here with a jumbo Italian beef sandwich. You got Geno with guitars and those axes over there, and you got me with the flag behind me, the Sicilian flag. If you're watching on TV, so you never know what you're going to get on this one. But that beef sandwich is looking awful good.
This is Doc Holliday, by the way.
Look at that.
Guitar did a lot of the heavy lifting. It's a custom made from Fender, and I've recorded a lot of amazing stuff on this guy. It's my go-to.
So
I got a friend that collects all kinds of guitars, too. Too bad. I wish I had a picture of that to show him.
Yeah, well,
we could pull a snapshot. I can just send you one. I'll get your number.
Yeah.
And I'll text you one.
All right, yeah, because like I called, there's about 3 guys that played in bands, and like I said, so I says I'll be your manager. We'll call you the used to be's.
Yeah, the used to be's. That's good.
So Chris, I got to tell you, so my son Gabriel Dominic Lenardo. He is down in Florida right now, but he was born in Chicago, down right at Northwestern Memorial. And we always go on like a food fest whenever he's here. We go to all these different, try out new restaurants and all that stuff. I'm bringing him right by to meet you.
You got to call me because I'm in and out all day,
Yeah.
I have I'll get your number. That we're running.
Yeah, I know. Do you guys still have the one? You had one on Higgins, across from the Marriott, that I used to go to because I was in Park Ridge.
No, we're back. No, it's not in Park Ridge anymore. We're back in Chicago. I got it up in Wrigleyville.
Nice.
One on Ontario Street, and then I'm way south in Tinley Park. So most of them are in Chicago right now.
Oh, you're way south.
The franchise out.
You're way south down
Lincoln
by
Square, Lincoln and Montrose. So I would go over.
Yeah.
One of the best music venues in the city is the Cabaret Metro, which is right across from the park. And it's just one of the best places to play and go see a show. So I got to give a shout out to Joe Shanahan at the Metro.
Are you familiar with Ronnie Onetsky at the Arcadia Theater in Joliet?
No.
He puts on shows all over the place.
Yeah, Ron's got the Arcada. He's got
Ron
the Arcada
Onetsky
in St. Charles, and he's got the Des Plaines Theater as well. They're both
he also has this Des Plaines Theater.
900 seat plus venues. Yeah.
Nice. I know. Yeah,
when my dad came over from Italy, he was 11, and they settled in Joliet. That's where.
Okay.
You know that casino boat down there?
And then he came up to Chicago. He used the GI Bill during World War II. He's in the Air Force. He used the GI Bill to go to Loyola Medical School downtown.
You know, they got
Pippins, all that area right there, Pippins and all that. And then he ended up at Swedish Covenant Hospital, and then he got the gig at Resurrection, and that's how the whole Park Ridge thing came about. Him and my mom bought the house, and there I was many years later.
So you're
the youngest of seven.
you're originally a far south sider, so therefore, at some point, you've got a little bit of White Sox blood in your bones. Come on, man. Come on.
Bridgeport.
That's right. You got a little, because you were from the far south. You got to have something. The Cubs lost me when I was a kid when they dealt off Bruce Sutter to the Cardinals. That was it for me. No more.
You're like, I'm over it. I'm over it. Wait, we were talking about, before the show started, though, we were talking about some hitters. Dave Kingman.
Yes.
For the Cubs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do they call him? King Kong.
Yeah. The guy would hit him a country mile. Either he struck out or hit a home run. But, man, when he connected, man, did it go.
Man, and it's funny. So in baseball, he was like my hero when I was younger. But then also in football, Walter Payton. We got to talk about sweetness a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
How could you miss out?
34.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
No, he was unbelievable. I used to cut out. I don't know if you guys remember that game. It was 1977, Minnesota Monday Night Football. He ran for 275 yards.
75 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that game.
I cut out, the Chicago Tribune had a full page thing, a picture of him, and I cut it out. That was on my bedroom wall forever until it disintegrated.
Well, he held that for a while, and then I think somebody else took that over now. The most yards in one game.
Yeah,
hold that thought.
Of course,
Chris.
But no, he was a beast.
But he held it for a long time.
Yeah, hold on a second.
He used to. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry.
See, what you're referring to is Emmitt Smith took over the rushing record lead. And think about this. Walter Payton had no line in front of him. And he would run over everybody, where Emmitt Smith had the Great Wall of China in front of him to do all the blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you put that line in front of Walter Payton, Walter would have had 40,000 yards. And you know what? In a class move, Barry Sanders did not break Walter Payton's record because of the respect level that Barry Sanders had for Walter Payton. I mean, that's a really good thing.
There's a documentary about him where he explains that whole thing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's
real
really
class
good.
move.
I forget the God. I'm sorry, the name escapes me. But Barry Sanders, he talks about that in the
Detroit
documentary.
Yeah, that was a real class move by Barry Sanders. And Emmitt Smith, it took him how many years to do it on top of it with that jumbo line? Come on, man. Get out of here. That guy, let me tell you something. He was good, but he wasn't that good. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. He's maybe a Hall of Good. When you have those monsters in front of you, I mean, they can open up a line for all three of us to go through at the same time. Even Chris over here with a beef sandwich in his hand. And folks, by the way, if you're just joining us, check them out at alsbeef.com and pick up your Italian beef there, unless you're at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Hey, a shameless plug for my favorite sandwich. Can't beat that. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm wearing the gear. I got the hat. I got the T-shirt. Looks like I work there, but I have no sandwich in front of me.
You're too far away.
I know. What's
we should have set this up a little differently, so we all had sandwiches.
Yeah.
Right? Now that would have been a really good thing. So maybe I would have had, I would still keep the flag up here, folks. If you're watching on TV, you see the Sicilian flag here. But otherwise, I would have an Al's Italian Beef flag up there, but I didn't even have one yet. Do you have one?
Yeah, I got them.
Well, how come I don't have one?
I
need one. I'll put it up in the studio.
Right? Yeah.
Seriously, I'll put it up in the studio.
Yeah. Now, Geno, we're going to take a quick little break here, and when we come back, I want to hear about those records on your wall. I want to hear about this. I want you to talk about you being basically the Swiss Army knife of music in depth on a couple things. But I have a question. I want you to think about this before we go to our quick break here. I want to ask you, what music comes on that just makes you screech like I can't do it? When they come on the radio, you turn them off. We all have that. We just don't necessarily admit to it. I have that. Or
I don't know. I don't even know if it made it to the radio. But I'll tell you.
Hold that thought, because we're gonna come back here in just a few minutes. Because for me, folks, real quick, I'll get back to that. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. By the way, folks, check us out at thesportscircus.com. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
I'm on a podcast right now.
It's not a podcast.
It's hard for me to talk. I'm talking to the guy.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This show is brought to you in part by Al's #1 Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Check them out at alsbeef.com if you're not down there. Also, you can check them out at Goldbelly at Al's Beef. Just type in Al's Beef in the search field on Goldbelly and pick up some of that incredible Italian beef. And
everybody smile.
There it is. If you're watching on TV, the interruptions I'm getting, that's the guy. Hey, there's everybody
in Las Vegas now.
All right, we're doing a regular radio and TV show. It's not a podcast. No.
It's not a podcast.
No.
It's one of them kids.
It's none of that. But anyway, folks, as we left off in the last segment, there are certain things that happen in the music world that Geno, by the way, we're here with Geno Lenardo, who is the Swiss Army knife of music at this point. There are certain sounds that you hear. There are certain bands that you hear, and whether you want to admit it or not, for me, I have a couple of bands that when I hear them on the radio, I turn it off in a hot second. But let me ask you this. When you hear a certain sound, when someone's playing a guitar, and they're, like for me, when I hear them dragging their fingers across the strings, trying to play clean, but they can't play clean. You know what I'm talking about. How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
unless it's intended, of course.
You know, I'm not one to diss on anybody who hasn't done their 10,000 hours, to learn their instrument. But Corey Feldman makes me just, Who are you talking to, Corey? Did I lose audio? Oh, all right. So, no, I was looking at you. Sorry, I guess it went to me. But, no, I'm not one to diss on people. It's, live and let live. God bless them. If they're up there on the stage, they're trying to do their thing. I'm not one to diss on any other guitarist because that'll just blow up in my face.
Right.
Back at me.
All right, so hey, Geno, we have a special guest that wants to say something to you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Geno. Happy birthday to you. From Mr. Paul Shortino. Have a great one, my brother.
All right. Thank you. That's awesome.
You never know who's going to show up or who's going to call in. It's always something, right? Another Italian guy on the phone, and he's with us right now. And that's the great Paul Shortino. And folks, if you don't know who he is, this is the guy that was fronting Rough Cut, fronting Quiet Riot, and God knows who else. What else are you doing, Paul?
Well, I'm doing the Icons of Classic Rock and Legends of Rock. I go out next year, and I'm going out with Joe Lynn Turner, Jeff Tate, Mark Storaci, and myself. And I just keep busy. That's all we can do in this business, what's left of it anyways. But, Geno,
right?
I wish you all the best, my brother. And I tried to get
Thank you. I wish you the best, too, my
son.
son.
I couldn't do it.
Right back at you. Thank you. That was awesome.
Hey, brother, have a great one. And God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
And your loved ones.
Thanks so much.
And same with you, Sal, and all your listeners.
All right, that's good stuff. Thanks, Paul. That's the great Paul Shortino. Thanks for joining us here. Of course, he gets the super applause. Yes!
Oh, By the way, don't forget I'm Duke of Fame from Spinal Tap.
Oh, from Spinal Tap. That's right. You were in Spinal Tap as well.
That's right.
Holy
I was trying to
smokes.
get in the second one that Duke Fame was still alive, but his manager died, but didn't work out.
That's all right. That's all right. Paul, thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. Nice little cameo from the great Paul Shortino once again. All right, Paul, we'll talk with you soon. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Paul.
much, Sal. Big love, Geno.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Peace.
Well, a nice surprise. Yeah, a nice surprise. And Paul's family. You know, he's just he's from Cleveland, so we can't keep him on the show. He's originally from Cleveland. No, that's all right. Yeah, he's a good guy, and I don't think, you know, sometimes I have an edge, and sometimes I'm not everyone's favorite person. I don't aspire to be everyone's favorite person. Paul doesn't have an enemy in the world. You know, there are just certain people like that everybody loves them. And with me, it's either you love me or you hate me. There's really no happy medium. How about you guys?
There you go. No, we'll keep Paul, even though he's from Cleveland. No, I'm kidding. No, you know, it's so funny because half of Filter, when we started the band and we had the studio over on North Avenue near Western. So Rich Patrick, the singer from Cleveland, Frank Cavanaugh, bass player from Cleveland.
Oh, hell, we could have kept
But,
Paul on.
You know, I really still love those guys. You know,
Yeah.
No, I've got a ton of friends in Cleveland. Actually, the new drummer Brett Weir from Clinical is from Cleveland, and the singer is a transplant. He's out in L.A., Brandon Zano, but he's from Cleveland as well. So I don't know what I have with these Cleveland guys, but we make good music.
Do you think that we could get Chris Pacelli in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just for the sandwich? I mean, they seem to let everybody in.
Everybody,
Yeah. We're rocking, all right.
They got to eat, right? So
We're
let 'em eat.
rocking in the sandwich department.
Did you guys see? I don't know if you caught this. Did you see Ozzy's thing? I thought it was amazing. Like you had the singer from Tool singing, "Crazy Train." Then you had Wolfgang Van Halen, Eddie's son, completely covering all of the guitar parts, like from Randy Rhoads, like old school. Like it was unbelievable. I thought that was great.
Yeah, just
I know it's
amazing talent.
What's that?
I said amazing talent.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. I mean, Chad, the drummer from Red Hots, is up there just slaying it. I mean, they all that whole stage was just like music royalty, but they're all ninjas. Like, you know, that's the exact opposite of the question you were asking me earlier. Like, sometimes I just look for more like who's really like doing that, as opposed to like who's not playing well. Whatever, they're gonna have to deal with that on their own. But I thought that was pretty special stuff.
Yeah,
Pretty special sauce.
It is, and you did a very
As
good
Chris
job.
would say, hey, they got the good sauce. You know.
You know, Geno, you did a very good job of being the political guy of not answering the question, but answering the question, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for me, look, when I hear certain things, I'm like, oh, I can't listen to that anymore. Like if I'm hearing somebody play sloppy like me, because I'm the worst guitar player in the world, I can't listen to it. And if they're trying to do it, if maybe you're playing a live show and you're on stage and you're just kind of doing your thing, that's one thing. But if you're in a studio and you're trying to play something clean, not on a clean channel, but you're trying to play something clean without hearing that drag, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is when I'll switch into my Geno's producer hat. I work with a lot of people at various different, skill levels, but we're all trying to achieve the same thing, the song or the piece, whatever it may be. And you gotta coach them through it. And you gotta be a psychologist, a cheerleader, and maybe a tough football coach at times when you're like, come on, man. And I'll sit there with the guitar right in front of them and go, no, this is okay. Here we go. And then, you have to maybe take the tempo down so that they can catch the riff. And then you bring it up to full speed when you actually press record. But yeah, so I'm not in the beat up business. I'm in the exalting business, the positivity side of it. And it doesn't, it doesn't always work. People are going to do what, they can ultimately do. And you'll see bands, like, I remember back in the day, people used to talk about records as snapshots of where the artist is at. And that's exactly what it is, so, I've seen guys who went from not playing great to being shredder,
Right. So here in our last few minutes of the show, I can tell you it's the same thing in every industry. I mean, Chris could tell you about mistakes that happen in the kitchen on a regular basis. I could tell you about that from a broadcasting standpoint, where people will and their way through instead of pausing, thinking about what they're going to say, and then execute. It's all the same thing. Every industry has its own mistakes, but some you can overcome. In the kitchen, I would imagine, Chris, take 1 minute, Chris, and talk about the biggest mistakes that happen in the kitchen.
Spilling the juice all over the floor and skating, falling in it, and it's hot, or on the slicer, cutting yourself.
Oh.
Ow.
Yeah, who needs a finger in their beef?
Yeah. We have a lot of the, burn marks and falling and stuff like that, just from slippery floors. That's right. My uncle used to say, I don't want to say it on the broadcast, but anyway, how to walk. It was a certain ethnic way.
Right. Well, hey, listen, people make mistakes. Sometimes they splash, but one splash will turn into an oil spot, maybe a drop of oil.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then it's a big snowball of bad stuff, right? So the oil, for example, that's on the floor, just get it a little bit wet. Now they're skating across the floor, like you said.
Well, it's like real slippery. It's like being on oil.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a fun time when that happens.
Yeah. Hey, Chris,
and
listen.
That's from not paying attention.
Chris, take a quick minute and tell everybody about Al's #1 Italian beef, how to follow you, and so forth and so on. Go ahead. You have the stage for 1 minute exactly. Make sure people can see you, too. Back off a little bit from the camera.
Is a Chicago item. It was created here 86 years ago. You can follow us on our website, Al's #1 Italian Beef. And you can also order this. We ship all around the country every day. And it's called, you go on GoBelly, and you can order there. We have a 8 sandwich order or a 16 sandwich order, and it comes to you pretty fast. It's not sandwiches. You have to make them. We send you the bread, the beef, the juice, the jardiniere. It's all, and then you just put it together within 5 or 10 minutes of you receiving it, and you'll enjoy something you've never had before. Something different, something delicious.
All right. Yes, and that was the end of the time, but the good news is we always give you a round of applause for doing that. All right, and Geno, take 1 minute and tell everybody again who you are, how to follow you, and what you're working on.
All right. Well, I'm also an original, although not from 1893 or 1938.
Right?
Not that far back.
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook right now. There'll be a new site coming out in the new year, and you can just Google me. You can find all the old movies I did, all the Underworld stuff, I Frankenstein, Peppermint. I mean, I can do it in under a minute, but keep your eye out for Clinical, and I'll be bringing a lot more big shows to Netflix. So you can always find me on Netflix if you just look it up.
Yeah.
But that's all I got to say. And I just want to give a shout out to Park Ridge and my family. My beautiful family sent me beautiful birthday wishes. Michael, Guy, Tim, Mary and Lizzie, my 2 beautiful sisters, and my son Gabriel.
That's good stuff.
There
Nice round of applause for them. And I have to say that next time when you come back, we'll have to talk about those records on the back wall, because we forgot that. We didn't get a chance to talk about those.
These guys?
Yeah, we've got literally 20 seconds, and we got to close the show out.
Oh,
yeah.
Happy birthday, Geno.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh, Chris, thank you. Thank you.
That's good stuff.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys.
Listen, I'll
Don't
get your number.
forget,
I'll
you
come
come
down.
in town, give me a call.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show.
I will,
I'm your
for sure.
Ringmaster Sal, and we're going to see you next time in about 24 hours right here on your favorite station.